Hello and good morning, listeners. Welcome back to Almus Market Mornings, your daily dose of global financial updates. I'm your host, Swaraj Rajagopal, and we have got you covered on everything from currency shifts to pivotal central bank decisions and important speeches. Plus, you'll gain expert analysis on macroeconomic data that's shaping the market narrative right now. Join us for this episode and navigate the markets with confidence. While geopolitics took center stage last week, there are a few other important narratives that have investors focus. The first, of course, the president-elect Trump is picking people to run key departments, the latest being the hedge fund manager Scott Bessent to run the treasury. Second, the dollar index has its longest stretch of weekly gains in more than a year. The euro hit a two-year low against the dollar as the PMIs from the eurozone continued to weaken and show sort of a bad picture for the eurozone economy. And of course, the third on the Indian politics fronts, two states, Maharashtra and Jharkhand, concluded their assembly elections with decisive victory for the Mahayuti in Maharashtra and the India Alliance in Jharkhand. Good morning, JK. A lot of action happening in the markets. What are some key stories that has got your attention?
Hey, good morning, Swaraj. As we begin the new week, I actually feel whether the last week was a key reversal week for many segments of the market. Let's look at the Indian market first. And we had, just on Thursday, Indian major indices hit a new cycle low, hitting more than 11.5% low from the highs near 23,000 in the NSE index. And on Friday, we saw the rupee also hit a new low at 84.5075 on continued FII inflows. But somehow things started to change on Friday itself. The rupee was turned on its head a bit by RBI. Aggressive selling was heard from PSU banks, and intraday, the dollar rupee fell to 84.42, even as dollar index hit a high of 108.06 on the back of euro's big fall. And then we had, of course, the weekend news on the elections. Two states. Of course, Jharkhand is a very small state, not so significant in terms of the overall GDP or economy, but Maharashtra, which contributes the highest to the Indian GDP, the largest in terms of economy among the states. There we had the ruling party at the center gaining absolute majority, and a big landslide victory, which was unlike what most pollsters had predicted. And this has actually put a lot of positive spin to the Indian market. In fact, we already had on Friday a strong session in the stock market, which had erased all the previous day's losses and rallied by 2.7%. And once again, we are seeing today the GIFT Nifty futures showing as much as a 2.5% gain. Once again, I think this victory in Maharashtra is something that should be considered with a lot of weightage, because, as I said, one of the largest states with the GDP and investment potential is very, very significant for Indian economy. And to top it, we have the parliament session starting today. I think a lot of policy reforms, etc., are going, to be placed in the house, which augurs well for the markets. Markets already having hit a low last week. I think we are going to see continued renewed interest, perhaps from investors and possibly even from foreign investors, who cannot ignore the fact that the markets have come down into reasonable valuations. And there is a sense that even the rupee has moved quite far, although the gains in the rupee should be stunted, because even if we do see inflows, the central bank will be there to absorb them, having sold a lot of dollars in the last several months. So it looks like both the rupee and the equities have taken some turn for the better last week, and likely to continue at least in the beginning of this week. And as we speak, we also see the global market seeing some sort of a turn in the dollar as well. As you said, the Trump administration has is expected to select the prominent investor Scott Bessent to take charge of the key position of U.S. Treasury, and some of the indications on Mr. Besant is that he is a fiscal conservative, and likely that he will go in for lots of spending cuts and even lower borrowings, and these are seen as good for the overall market in the medium term. Although spending cuts can actually lead to slowing down of the U.S. economy, but these are expectations. But markets do act on expectations, and this has actually now pushed the dollar index also much lower compared to what we had seen on Friday, because on Friday, as I said earlier, dollar index hit a high of 108 plus on the back of very poor PMI data from Eurozone, where both manufacturing and services fell into contraction territory, and even the biggest contribution for the contraction came from the French economy. On the German side, the GDP was revised to just a growth of 0.1% from 0.2% that was predicted earlier. And on Thursday, we also had the consumer confidence in Eurozone slumping to minus 12.4. Apart from Eurozone, we also had the UK retail sales, which fell minus 0.7%. And we already had the escalation in the geopolitical situation, where after Ukraine fired some missiles into the Russian soil, Russia had responded with firing of missiles from there, and intercontinental missiles, but not of the highest order. But then these cannot be ignored, and market has been on nervous side. But all this actually would tend to think that we are in the most panicky situation, and that has actually turned around a bit, at least as far as the currencies are concerned. Even the US market saw a strong rally in the Dow, more than 400 points, and to see that the market in US is rallying despite so many challenges of geopolitics and possibly higher tariff and higher inflation is something that cannot be ignored. So possibly market is taking a slightly medium term view, and possibly also taking a medium term view of the Indian market now with the events of the weekend. Therefore, I think we are set for a recovery. Rupee slight, I think we can see a recovery to at least 84.30 in the coming days. As I said, RBI will be containing any big strength in the INR through their buying intervention. Stock market is likely to recover quite a bit. Dollar index, having come below, well below 108 once again, and the euro from a low of 1.0333 has now hit 1.0480. Perhaps a lot of bad news is priced into the euro right now, although there are still many callers for parity to be hit in the euro. But then I think any sustainable recovery in the euro will take time, because we need to see some strong measures on the fiscal side from the Eurozone governments to lift their economy. Until we see that, euro will not be making any meaningful recovery. So that's it. We start with a lot of positive news. Geopolitical, we have not heard anything new negative. So markets are likely to be positive. And to top it all, let's also remember the Indian cricket team has also seems to have turned the corner after the big slump against New Zealand in a 0-3 drubbing in domestic series. They seem to be on the way to a big victory in Perth in Australia. So start with a very feel-good factor for the new week. Thank you.
Thank you, JK. And of course, we take many inspiration from sport, not just in cricket, but even in Formula One, which I think even you closely follow. Max Verstappen has won his fourth World Driver Championship. So
Yes.
yes. So a lot of things happening in the sporting world. So just a quick summary. Potential recovery can be a theme which we follow this week. Indian indices which hit all-time lows on Friday, on Thursday, not all-time lows, but it hit the cycle lows on Thursday. There was some recovery on Friday. There was substantial rally, and interestingly, rupee also, which hit all-time lows last week, had a bounce back due to RBI intervention. So that's a theme which we can well carry on to this week. So whether this was a key reversal event, markets would be investors would be closely watching out for that. On the global markets, there was some sort of a weakness in dollar being observed. So and the of course the focus would be on the incoming Trump administration's appointments and the geopolitical escalations. That's it from us today. Thanks for listening. Tune in tomorrow for the latest in the financial markets.